big companies. So what about it? This is just an anecdote. First of all, it started when the business unit said, no, thank you. Okay? So this was the alternative strategy. It ended up being world domination. 40% of the world DSL market for this one is good. So the chance if you got a chip here for DSL, 4 out of 10 is my chip. Thank you very much. The valuation went between $1 billion and $5 billion. So in the bubble it was $5 billion, $1 billion. So everybody made money in this one, including Olivetti, made hundreds of millions, including the venture capitalists made 100 million. And if they sold, there were 100 Cambridge millionaires. If they sold, I didn't sell, so it went down. So 20 years from university research to public company, a long time. 7 financing rounds. So this is one of the ones where you run like hell and try and get money. It's not the one for doing with angel funding. Lots of changes. And possibly successful, but a little ironic thing, and I think it's important for us to reflect on it, and it's particularly important here, is the bottom right. That is a joke, actually. So those things are the logos of the company as seen from Cambridge. So the first is the logo of ATM Limited. The second is the logo of Virata. The third is the logo of Globespan Virata, which is where we merged with the American company. That Globespan Virata got taken over by the fourth logo, which is the company which exists today called Connexent. And the right-hand side is the rubbish bin, because they closed the Cambridge office and trashed everything. So, discuss. That thing just vaporized. The money was made, but the engineering, gone. It's in Newport Beach. And I'm not saying it's good or bad, but yeah. Anyway, Cambridge Broadband. Cambridge Broadband is a company. I'll do 5 minutes more. Shall I? 10 minutes? 5 minutes, okay. So these are my companies, just different stories, right? Different stories. So this is fixed wireless backhaul. So it's network equipment, and it's broadband network equipment, but it's where you've got, for example, a 3G telephony mast, and you want to connect that back, deploy it quickly, connect it back to the central infrastructure. So it's a company that backhauls. And you will see it's Warsaw on the right, so we sell in this country. It's various places here, and a company called NASK is a customer. Great guys in NASK. So again, this is hardware company, and hardware companies are quite expensive. You need money. So actually, the way this one arose was the team was my team from 15 years ago. For various reasons, we worked together, 5 or 6 people. We were in another company, previous company we started called Adaptive Broadband, which got bought by the Americans again. And we wanted to leave to start another company. And we convinced that company, the Americans, to fund us for $1 million to start it off. Because we put a gun to their head saying otherwise we're leaving completely. So you've got nothing or something if you give us $1 million. So they took 10% of the company for $1 million. We finished the work for the previous company and got this one going. This one was going for 4 or 5 years, and then the investors, some of whom were investors in Virata, decided to be quite brutal, and I left at that point. So I have nothing to do with this company anymore, and my shareholding is about this much. Also 20 years of research work in this one. And the very same investors who made hundreds of millions on Virata took my shirt on this one. Now, the company is okay, and the product's quite good, and actually very good for Poland, because every Bocian should have broadband. Okay, so you can deploy it quickly into big infrastructure, because it's wireless and fast and lovely. So the point here is that the amount of capital required was beyond what the business model of the investors could withstand, so that the initial people had to lose. And it doesn't matter whether it was me, the university, it doesn't matter. You've lost. In terms of value. Doesn't mean the company is not successful. Real VNC. So I'm chairman of 3 companies. So this is very interesting. This is a software company. How many of you use VNC? Anybody use VNC here? Okay, you know about that. Okay, VNC. So this is a bit of software which you can take a computer like this screen and put it somewhere else. You can look at it somewhere else. It's graphics technology, but graphics across the internet. And this is a wonderful example. This is like perfect for some people here, I would suggest. So this is some very talented software people who were and make this beautiful baby called this software, okay? And the point is, it is possible. It doesn't matter, there's competition everywhere. You can still go, golden egg. But it's just 4 boys. I'm sorry, they're boys. So what do? So you try and use open source models. So you release it on the open source basis, so you make it available for people to try, free of charge. Because you can get an amplifier called the internet saying, And this became very successful on the open source model. In fact, total domination, worldwide domination, but for nothing, for free. So 100 million licenses. 100 million licenses have been taken to this technology. It's everywhere. It's part of, on every computer, it's just everywhere. IBM, 15,000 licenses. Intel, 8,000 licenses, but for nothing. So how do you live? How do you put some butter on your thing? Well, it's interesting because so this one, no investment, just our investment. So this is in a little shed in a garden, literally, for the first 2 or 3 years. That's why I take capital, sure. Making a little bit of money. This company now is making a lot of money, but small. And it's selling 2 things. It's selling support, but also selling a very cheap commercial version, like $1 or $2 for this copy. Very cheap. Because if you've got a pool of 100 million licenses, and they are taking licenses at 30,000 per day at the moment, this is going. So you say, just try this. You just need a little bit of acceptance, and all right. So software only, therefore not big investment. In fact, just us. Open source model to get yourself attention, and then a commercial model which is so on. But it starts with high technology. This is not rubbish. It's open source, and yet it's so good that people can't copy it and make it better. Why is that? People. Training. Quality. Not patents. There's no patents. There are no patents in software. So there it is. So it's the quality of the engineering plus show business to do with market. 2 more, okay? And then I'll finish. So level 5 networks. Again, this is an interesting one. This is going back to networking. So this is, they're all different, I'm afraid. So the product here is chip. And the chip is a Ethernet chip. You've all heard of Ethernet, so it sounds mainstream. And the speed of the Ethernet chip is 10 gigabits per second, which is the next speed in a few years we will all be using. So it's so mainstream, it's ridiculous. So here we are sitting in Cambridge going, we know how to do it better, because the engineering is wonderful, the same story. Better than Intel can do it, better than IBM can do it, better than everybody can do it. What do we do? Well, this one requires big money, because if you're going to sell a chip to IBM will only take you seriously